Hi, I'm Rap from the Reason, and I'm bringing you today's must-watch video. Everything you need to know about RuneScape's biggest expansion to date, Varlamore. This is going to be a long video, but there's so much to talk about. I hope you guys are as hyped as I am. Some things to keep in mind: everything we're talking about today is only the initial release on March 20th. Later this year, Part 2 is coming with even more exciting content. I'll be making a similar video when Part 2 is officially announced, so be sure to subscribe so I can keep you in the loop. Also, my end of the year goal is 1,000 subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you could support the channel. That's enough yapping for now. Let's get into all the juicy details you guys came here for. To gain access to Varlamore, you need to complete the already released quest, Children of the Sun. On the release of Varlamore, there will be one more quest available that's yet to be named. All we know about this quest, according to the current blogs, is that the quest start point is in a new city found in Varlamore, Civitas Illifortis. I have no clue if I said that correctly, so please don't crucify me. This unnamed quest is an intermediate quest that apparently boasts intermediate rewards. We don't know what those rewards are yet, but we can assume it's most likely a moderate amount of experience and maybe access to something within Varlamore. But I guess we'll find out on the 20th. While writing the script of this video, I realized there's so much stuff being released and updated on Hunter that it deserves its own video. I'll be posting that video not too long after this one, so be sure to watch that. For now, I'm just giving you guys a brief summary here, and I strongly suggest you go check out the video as there is really a lot being added. Varlamore is bringing a new and unique guild, the Hunters Guild. To get access to it, you need 46 Hunter. In this guild, an activity called Hunter's Rumors is being added. These are like Hunter Slayer tasks and are the core of everything related to the Hunters Guild. There are 4 tiers of rumors that start at tier 1 with 46 Hunter and cap at tier 4 with 91 Hunter. The goal of each rumor is to obtain a rare creature part, with each rumor taking an estimated 8 to 10 minutes to complete. Rumors provide a lot of rewards, including bonus XP, loot sacks, the new Hunter Skilling outfit, Quetzalcoatl whistle recharges, the Quetzalcoatl pet, and much more. The new Hunter Skilling outfit that's obtained from rumors gives an increased 2.5% catch rate and a 5% increased chance to obtain a rare creature part when wearing the full set. We don't have data on individual pieces as of right now, so we'll see how each piece benefits us before having the full set once it's released. This Skilling outfit will increase XP rates when using active hunter training methods such as Chinchompas or Salamanders, and it's going to help us speed up rumors. The Hunters Guild is bringing a new, exciting transport system to the game called the Quetzalcoatl Transport Network. You can use a Quetzalcoatl whistle to have a Quetzalcoatl pick you up and fly you back to the Hunters Guild from anywhere in Gielinor, aside from the wilderness. There are 3 tiers of whistle that have scale and charges. Basic, which gives you 5 charges, Enhanced, which gives you 20 charges, and Perfected, which gives you 50 charges. To make these whistles, you need blueprints of each whistle. You get the basic blueprints by just being a member in the Hunters Guild, but the other 2 are randomly dropped from rumors. A new region brings new animals, and as such, new prey. Lots of new hunter monsters are being released, such as moths, antelopes, jerboa, fennec foxes, and mountain salamanders. Let's quickly speed through the content being added with them. There are 2 types of antelopes being released that drop horns. Their horns are used to upgrade the hunter's crossbow into the hunter's sunlight crossbow, or HSCB for short. The HSCB is a crazy weapon that has the same attack speed as a short bow while being one-handed, and the new best ammunition for it is the equivalent of dragon arrows. I dive deeper into this weapon with comparisons to others in my video expanding on hunters, so check that out if you want to know more about the HSCB. A new type of salamander has been released called the mountain salamander. This new salamander is a tier up from the black salamander, requiring 80 attack, ranged, and magic to use. It can fire up to Iritar, which has a range strike to 60, which is equal in strength to dragon arrows. The blog suggests you need to train the salamander in the Hunter's Guild before being able to use it against other players, but we'll see about that. There are two types of moths that can be caught in jars and used as either restore potions that also heal a small amount of hit points, or used as prayer potions. The major difference is that the moths can be used on up to 3 people in a 3x3 area. You can also turn them into hunters mixes with the same effects. A new snake-like creature called the Jabroa is being released that only requires 39 hunter. Once caught, you can craft their tails into hunter spears. Hunter spears are an odd weapon that act as like a ranged melee weapon that's both slow and weak. It seems like this weapon will be useful in Hunter and have virtually no uses outside of that, but that isn't 100% clear yet. Fennec foxes are a new creature that's sort of the odd ones out, as they don't specifically bring anything to the table except for their fur and meat. Speaking of fur, there's a new armor that seems to work perfectly with the hunter spears, mixed hide armor. It provides a small amount of melee strength with a moderate rage bonus. The Fennec foxes themselves might not have a specific niche, but it seems like their furs could be used in combination with other furs to make this armor, hence the name mixed hide armor. The Fennec foxes and all the other creatures brought something else to the table: their meat. Move over, fishing. There's a new food source in town. That's right, the meat you get from Hunter isn't trash anymore. You can cook it to make food that has new, delayed healing mechanics. There should be a table on the screen showing how insane it is, but just to put it into perspective, the highest healing fish in the game are dark crabs and manta rays right now, and they heal 22. The moonlight antelopes would be their counterpart, which heals an initial 17, and then it heals 4, and then it heals 5, and it also cures poison for a total of 26 healing, and you cure a layer of poison. This is a very interesting, and I feel like it's often overlooked part of this blog that I think might shake up the meta a bit. To gain access to making these new mid and higher tier hunter foods, you need to do 25 rumors for the mid tier foods and 50 rumors for the high tier foods. Now that there's actual value in furs and meats, it'd really suck if we wanted to bank them right now, as we acquired them very fast while hunted and most spots are fairly far from a bank. Don't worry though, Jagex thought of that too. They're introducing fur pouches and meat sacks that can store up to 28 of each material. The pouches are similar to the jewelry box in your house, as in you need to upgrade them to get to that lucrative 28 storage space. And that's the gist of most of the big hunter content. For more details expanding on it, check out my other video. There's a new agility training method called the Colosseum Worm. Unfortunately, this isn't coming out March 20th, so I won't be covering it as it's prone to change. It does exist in this area though, and you will eventually see it as you traverse Varlamore. Bone Shard Mining is going to be a new, low-intensity training method that's apparently a mixture of muddled mining and Tears of Gothics. Now I know, that sounds strange, but just hear me out. Just like muddled mining, you're going to be able to mine veins, and just like Tears of Gothics, sometimes water will trickle down these veins, which doubles your mining success rate. Mining these veins will give you bone shards. Bone shards are a stackable resource that's used to train prayer in Varlamore, but we'll get to that part next. While mining, you'll sometimes receive calcified deposits. These calcified deposits can be smashed in an anvil for a stack of bone shards, or you could trade them for GP. Offering the Ralos is the newest prayer training method in Varlamore. To do it, you need a minimum of 30 prayer to participate. All you do is burn bones, bless bones, chip the bones into shards, and then you offer them Ralos. To offer bone shards or Ralos, you need to bring jugs of wine. You fill something called the libation pool with wine, and then you offer up to 1k bone shards per wine. To get these bone shards, you can either mine them or use a chisel on any bones in the game. Higher tier bones will grant more shards, so for instance, regular bones might only give you 4, but dragon bones might give you 60. Some bones will also offer bonus shards, but we don't know what bones those are as of yet. You could receive sunfire splinters from the Colosseum to make libation wine. This increases the XP per bone shards offer, but the number of bone shards you can offer is lower. Jagex hasn't announced how many bone shards you can offer, but they were thinking of somewhere between 500 and 750. They will also have an area for you to unnote your bones so you don't have to go to a bank, or as they put it, commit to uninterrupted worship. According to Jagex, they say this method can be faster than trading a gilded altar if you already have some bone shards, but a little bit slower if you have to craft your own. And the final skilling method they're releasing is called pickpocketing, breaking, and entering. To put it simply, you can pickpocket wealthy people in the bazaar, get a key, and break into their homes and steal their stuff. No, seriously, that's the method. Alright, of course, there's more to it than that. So normally, you'd have a very high failure rate to pickpocket these people. But sometimes, a street urchin will come out and distract the wealthy person, giving you a 100% success chance at pickpocketing them. And you'll also auto-pickpocket them for this duration, which is nice. Pickpocketing these citizens gets you gold and occasionally a key. With these keys, you can go talk to some shady creep standing outside these wealthy homes and he'll give you homes to steal from. You sneak in, search all their furnishings, and yoink their valuables. You could sell most of these valuables for coins. Now, you're already stealing from wealthy people, but sometimes there's a really big fish. These big fish are known as high value targets and have chances at double loot drops. Not only that, but sometimes these high value targets have ivory figurines which should be taken to the Hunter's Guild for a reward, or you could just turn them into bone shards. You could distinguish a high value target with a single house being marked with some sort of a chalked symbol. The Colosseum. The most anticipated content in Varlamore. What most people clicked on this video for. Let's get into it. The Colosseum is going to be a new wave-based PvM minigame similar to the Inferno and Fight Caves, but the Colosseum is going to be so much more, with Jagex themselves claiming that no two Colosseum runs will ever be the same. Apparently, enemy spawn location will be random, the large variety of encountered enemies is random, and between waves, you're forced to choose between a select number of modifiers that either make you weaker or the enemy stronger. Now, we don't know exactly what the modifiers are, but it could be things such as being unable to attack for 10 seconds, getting stunned after every 10 hits, your chest slot no longer works, you can no longer pray mage, etc. All we know is that each modifier remains until you leave the Colosseum. After each wave, you're also offered a choice of leaving or risking all your loot and continuing to push forward. This is a very unique PvE mechanic being introduced into OSRS. The only other truly high risk, high reward feature we've had so far is Hardcore Iron Man, where your entire status is being risked. Having something like this for everyone is great. It's going to be frustrating, angering, and when everything goes right, it's just going to be such a surge of dopamine. It's going to be amazing. Not only is there a high risk, high reward factor involved, there's another core reward known as Glory. Glory is attained from completing waves within the Colosseum. Well, not just completing waves. It's from your performance within those waves. It could be how quickly you finished the wave, how much damage you took, the number of errors you made, etc. With that being said, you can't farm Glory. Now what I mean by that is, if the first wave only grants you a max of 100 Glory, repeating the wave will only give you the difference you had in your previous performances, until you reach the maximum of 100. So if you only got 10 on your first run and then you got 71 on your second run, it's not additive, it's only the difference. So you would only gain 61 more Glory. I think you guys get the gist. Modifiers at the end of each wave will also multiply the amount of Glory you get, depending on how hard the modifiers are. Glory will also be an official way to rank your own skills against others. And since this is a minigame that's supposed to be an official system showing who the best players are, an endless mode is suggested in the blog. It seems like there is an official end to the Colosseum, but you have the option to extend your run by repeating every single wave that you already completed with all of the modifiers you selected but now you're adding even more modifiers on top of those. And the blog makes it seem like you can do this endlessly, but I'm not sure if that's actually true, if there's just a point where they assume it's impossible. I mean, how many modifiers can there actually be? There's a lot of questions that we don't really have the answer to yet, and we probably won't have those answers for a while until somebody gets to that point. So be sure to watch some of your favorite content creators tackle this challenge as they push their limits and actively compete against each other. Honestly, you're going to be watching this whether you want to or not, because pretty much every major and minor content creator is gonna be in the Colosseum for a long time after its release. And after all that time, surely they would have accumulated some nice rewards, right? Speaking of rewards, the first reward we'll be talking about will be one of the most sought after, the Dazana's Quiver. The Dazana's Quiver is basically an upgraded Ava's Assembler that is untradeable, chargeable, and corruptible. It normally has a plus 18 range accuracy along with a plus 3 range strength. Already, this is a significant upgrade over the Ava's Assembler, but once it's charged, it becomes even more impressive, boasting a 28 range accuracy with a plus 4 range strength. The only catch is that the additional range strength only counts towards bolts and arrows, so your ballista will not be benefited from this update. The numbers are extremely impressive, proving that will already be a best in slot item, but it goes even further by providing another convenience. The quiver can hold 2 types of ammo that automatically switch depending on the weapon you're using. So for instance, you could swap between a crossbow and bow without ever needing to swap ammo. Honestly, this function seems pretty niche. It certainly helps save bank space, and there might be a boss or two where it'd be good, but there isn't much content that requires you to switch between a crossbow and a bow. The Glaive of Ratlos is a brand new type of thrown weapon that bounces back to us after each hit, similar to a boomerang. Similar to the Dazana's Quiver, the Glaive of Ratlos has a charge effect. Now uncharged, you throw the glaive, it hits an enemy for 0 to 75% of your max hit. Now I know what you're thinking, 75% damage really isn't that great, but that's where this charge effect comes in. When charged, the glaive does 2 separate hit blasts that hit up to 75% of your max hit. So if your max hit is 20, you can hit up to 15 twice when the glaive is charged. The Glaive of Ratlos also comes with a special attack costing 50% energy. Landing a successful hit drains the target's defense level by 10% of their magic level. One thing to note is that the glaive can only reduce defense by a total of 50% of its base. For instance, if a target has 100 defense, you can only reduce it to 50. Now, will this special attack ever be better than just using a Dragon Warhammer or BGS? I'm not so sure. So I know you're wondering, how do we charge these items? Well, while grinding out the Colosseum, you'll accrue a large number of Sunfire Splinters that could charge the Glaive of Ratlos and Dazana's Quiver. These splinters are supposed to provide a consistent amount of GP similar to like Zulra's Scales or Muspa's Ancient Essence. That's not the only thing you could do with Sunfire Splinters though. You can also use them to create Sunfire Runes. Sunfire Runes are a brand new rune that can be made by combining Sunfire Splinters with Ruin, Pure, or Dale Essence and Fire Runes at the new Sunfire Altar in Varlamore. Similar to most other runes in the game, you craft more runes the higher your rune crafting level is. Sunfire Runes count as fire runes when casting spells, with an added bonus of always having a 10% minimum hit. So if your max hit is 30, you will always hit a minimum of 3. What's not clear is if it will round up based on your damage. What I mean by that is if your maximum hit is a 38, will the damage round up and your minimum hit will be a 4? Or will it always round down to 3? We're not sure. It's also safe to assume that Splashin won't have the minimum hit as you didn't hit them. As a sort of quality of life function of these new runes, you can combine the splinters or the rune themselves with burnt pages to create Searing pages. Searing pages will apply all the effects of the Sunfire runes and can still be used as a normal Tome of Fire. Since 2006, Proselyte has been the undisputed best armor for prayer bonus, but that's about to change with one of the final announced rewards from the Colosseum, the Sunfire Armor. The Sunfire Armor will be a direct upgrade from Proselyte, with each piece providing 2 more prayer bonus and having similar defenses to Rune Armor. Being an upgrade, there are of course high requirements to use this, namely 40 defense at 60 prayer. As for its uses, wherever you would normally use Proselyte Armor, you would just use Sunfire Armor instead. For whatever reason, Echo Crystals weren't included in the big Varlamore Part 1 blog, even though Echo Crystals are supposed to be obtainable from the Colosseum. So we'll talk about it anyways, just in case it is released. You get Echo Crystals from the Colosseum, and you can use the crystal on Guardian Boots to produce a recoil effect. Once you run out of charges, your Guardian Boots remain, but you'll need to recharge the boots with another crystal. And that's it. Again, since it's not on their massive blog, it's possible these boots will come at a later date, but we'll see on March 20th. While the Colosseum is being designed as endgame content for veteran players, Jagex is also introducing another PvM minigame that's designed for mid-level players, Perilous Moons. Perilous Moons will be a dungeon-based PvM minigame that seems to be a mixed concept of Barrows and the Gauntlet. Just like the Colosseum, there's a fair amount of variation. Every time you enter the dungeon, different corridors will be available for you to enter. After completing the starting corridor, you're free to roam around and kill all the bosses in any order you see fit, but you'll save more time by killing the one closest to your starting location. Similar to Dungeoneering and the Gauntlet, there are rooms within the dungeon that have enemies, shortcuts, and skill and opportunities, with some rooms providing opportunities to acquire food and potions to help us complete the dungeon. It's noted that we can bring our own supplies, but using the supplies within the dungeon is highly recommended as it's faster. Within the dungeon, there are also rooms called base camps that have storage and retrieval options for skill and tools. Once you've explored the dungeon and prepared yourself, you have 3 different demon bosses to challenge. Similar to Barrows, defeating all the bosses leads to the most possible loots. Unlike Barrows and the Gauntlet, you can fight the bosses solo or with others. Each player has their own individual health bar that they have to deplete, meaning other players' participation won't affect your reward potential. As cool of a system as I think this is, I can't help but see a few potential problems, or questions. Do you have to wait for someone else to finish before moving on, even if you already did your part? Do you need to pick up someone else's slack if they disconnect? Personally, I hope you can move on and count the bosses completed if you did your part, even if it means leaving your friends behind. But coming back to the boss fight, if multiple players are in the room, the bosses will attack everyone at the same time and use the environment around them to damage groups of players, meaning one person won't take all the damage while everyone else leans back and focuses on DPS. The blog makes it sound like a lot of the damage is avoidable too, so I'm curious to see what sort of attacks will be done. As this is mid-game content, the OSRS team wanted each boss to provide mechanics you'll need to master to face significantly harder challenges in the future. With that being said, there will be some new, never-before-seen mechanics that we'll need to learn to persevere. Of course, they are keeping it as a surprise, so we'll just have to wait till March 20th to get some of the answers regarding those mechanics. The bosses also have one more unique mechanic that's been revealed to us, along with some data centered around this mechanic. So, all of us know that at all stages of the game, DPS is incredibly important. It's what speeds up grinds and makes the difference between having to teleport away or, finishing a kill. For reasons like this, Bandos, Torva, Masori, and Ancestral are all very popular and very pricey. But getting all these items are priorities in the late to end game. I mean, having the money to buy this gear isn't exactly feasible for a mid-level player. Generally, this leads most mid-level players to Barrows, which has more of a defense-oriented focus. So, since Perilous Moons is geared towards mid-level players, they want to introduce a mechanic that gives you higher DPS when you have more defensive gear. They do this by creating damage that you can't pray against or avoid, only minimizing the odds of the damage occurring. So why does this mean you'll get more DPS by using more defensive gear? Well, if you take more damage you have to heal, results in you attacking the boss less. And I swear, I'm not making this up so I can profit off buying all the Barrows armor right now with my measly cash stack. but this is a table provided by RuneScape themselves, showing that you will take significantly higher damage if you wear less defensive gear. To vocalize what the chart said though, with Bando's armor, you have a 12% chance to be dealt 40 damage on the Demi boss's third attack, and with Barrel's armor, you only have a 6% chance to be dealt that same damage. It's a significant difference. Obviously, this means that Justicar will be the best in slot, but at the time of me writing this script, Barrel's plate bodies and plate legs are only about 200 to 300k, so maybe consider investing or buying some for you to use yourself, because this is the only piece of content that will provide you with the following rewards. 3 new, unique, never before seen armors and weapons are being introduced into the game as a reward from Perilous Moons: the Blood Rager set, the Frost Moon set, and the Eclipse set. Each set has their own set effect that's pretty interesting. Let's start with the Blood Rager set. Requiring 50 defense and 75 strength, each piece of the Blood Rager set gives a fairly large strength bonus that's on par with Bando's and succeeds the Helm of Nizanot. Unlike most melee armors, Blood Rager gives defensive bonuses against every combat style, including magic. This does come at a loss of some melee defenses though, making some of those defenses even less than rune armor. Included in the set is a two-handed weapon, the dual
Makwawito.
The dual Makwito. Yeah, that's really how it's pronounced. To make it easier to say, let's just call it the dual max or DMs, because there's no way I'm going to be able to remember that. Okay, so the dual max require 70 attack and 75 strength to use. They have an attack rate of 4, which is on par with the Whip and Dragon Scimitar, and they boast a respectable crush and slash accuracy of 121 and 115. Now I know you see the strength bonus at 32 and you're like, really? How's that a joke? You know, it's too soon for April Fools, we're in March. Well, the dual mac hits twice, meaning that's 2 separate hit splats. So I know what you're thinking, it still doesn't seem like a very big deal, but the dual mac also comes with a special attack that lets you sacrifice 10% of your current HP to raise your minimum and maximum hit by 25%. So, okay, cool. If you can hit a 12-12, now you can hit a 15-15, but it costs 10% of your HP. I know it still doesn't sound that appealing, and, you know, why wouldn't you just use a whip and DDS over this? Well, this is where everything comes full circle and all starts to make sense. Truthfully, it even starts to sound good. While wearing the armor set, you get the Blood Rager set effect, which is appropriately named Bloodthirst. Nice and edgy, eh? Bloodthirst gives you a 33% chance for your next attack to happen 1 tick sooner. Your special attack also always activates Bloodthirster if you're wearing the full set. For low defense monsters, this set is amazing, performing similar DPS to Bloodvelds with a Scythe. With that being said, it starts to fall off as opponents get more and more defense. One thing that I'd like to note about this set, and the chart in particular that's on the screen, is the chart is very vague. It doesn't show much detail, like what gear is being compared, and let's also be honest, who is using a scythe to kill these low-level monsters? What we really needed was like a whip and dragon defender comparison here. I think it's also important to note, I don't think that this will be dead content, but I don't know where it'd be best to use this, as most people would rather use Slayer to train combat. Even if this set is not the best of the best, even for mid-game players, it still might be a fun alternative to use, so we'll see where this set takes us in the future. If you thought the Blood Rager set was niche or peculiar, you haven't met the Frost Moon set yet. This set is a weird melee magic hybrid set, and compared to the others, the set itself is pretty bad, but the individual pieces are pretty good. The Frost Moon armor requires 50 defense and 75 magic to equip. It provides a moderate amount of melee strength bonuses while also providing a fairly high magic accuracy. The magic defenses are comparable to most robes, while also providing crush bonuses. The set comes with a weapon, the Spell Spear. The Spell Spear requires 75 magic and 70 attack to use. The melee stats themselves are extremely similar to the Staff of Light, but its magic strength bonus is significantly lower at 5%. The special attack of the Spell Spear is interesting. Requiring 50% special attack energy, the Spell Spear has increased accuracy and damage by 1% for every tick remaining on the binding effect. After using the spec, the binding effect is removed. This means, in theory, you can hit up to 32% more damage with the full binding effect of Ice Barrage. Now, it's unclear if this is melee damage or magic damage, as this is a hybrid set, but I'm assuming it's magic damage. If this is the case, you can hit up to a 50 Ice Barrage with this staff. This is also assuming someone else freezes your opponent and you immediately spec once they're frozen to get the full tick value. The special attack isn't great. There aren't many special attack weapons that increase damage, so this might be one of those better than nothing scenarios. Also, you could hit more with Fire Surge with the special attack, but it's unclear if it could be any spell or just with an immobilizing spell. The set effect of the Frost Moon set is called Spellblade, which is an appropriate name for its effect. After casting an immobilizing spell, like Ice Barrage, you have a 10% chance for the next melee attack with the Spell Spear to not be affected by action delay, meaning you have a 10% chance to immediately attack after casting a spell with no tick delay. The set effect is very interesting. It adds more DPS. It can be theoretically used to stack a lot of damage in one instance. I mean, technically you can Ice Barrage someone, get the 10% Spellblade proc, double Gmaul spec, then whack someone like an Elder Maul or God Sword, and that's an absurd amount of DPS, but I wouldn't rely on it because it's super volatile. It also requires you to be within melee distance, which is especially dangerous when wearing any sort of magic robes, as the defenses aren't great. The armor fits a niche of being better than Dagonhai and worse than the rims, and it fits it nicely. But with the rims being so cheap, I don't know if it'd be worth the price tag. The staff is pretty good though. I mean, any magic weapon with a damaging special attack can't be bad as we have so few of them in the game. This might be especially useful for Iron Man for bursting, as the spec makes it better than a rim staff, and the next upgrade is a Staff of Dead from God Wars Dungeon, or the Kodai Wand from Chambers of Xeric. The Eclipse set is, in my opinion, the coolest set out of all of the new sets. It might also be the most viable. This set is another quote-unquote hybrid ranged melee set similar to the Frost Moon set, but its design is infinitely better. The Frost Moon set uses both melee and mage in an awkward combination, while the Eclipse set uses range accuracy but the damage is rolled off your melee strength. That's not the only thing that makes this set unique though. It also is creating a new mechanic called the Burn-In. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go over the stats first. The Eclipse set requires 75 range and 50 defense to wear. As you can see on the screen, each of the pieces provide us with a fairly large ranged attack bonus and mediocre defenses. The ranged attack bonus is greater than Black D'hide, God D'hide, and Gorill's, but less than Armor though. The defenses are weaker than all 4 of the armors, but it also provides us with a melee strength bonus. Unlike the other sets, I have to talk about the set effect first to explain how insane this new weapon is. The full set provides an effect called Searing Blows. Searing Blows gives you a 20% chance to burn a target. Burns deal 1 damage every 4 ticks for 40 ticks. Now burns can also be stacked up to 5 times for increased damage. It applies a very cool, unavoided, increasing damage over time effect similar to Venom. But here's where the fun part comes in. The weapon. The Eclipse set comes with a weapon called the Atlatl. Now you might be wondering, what on earth is an Atlatl? An Atlatl is a weapon used to throw a lawn dart. What makes the Atlatl so unique is that it's a ranged weapon that rolls damage off your melee strength. Now, RuneScape dubbed this weapon a lower level alternative to the blowpipe, but I think this thing is absolutely insane. First of all, it has an attack speed of 3 on rapid, which is the same as a short blow. Secondly, the special attack makes the potential max hit of this thing ridiculous. The special attack consumes all the remaining burn damage you stacked and increases the max hit by that much damage and the minimum hit by half as much. but the additional damage is capped at 50. Now 50 is a pretty impressive number when you consider that one little word, additional. So there's no way for us to know how damage is calculated right now. Like, we know that it's rolled off of melee strength, but is that a 1-for-1 conversion to range strength? Is it based on your strength level instead of your range level? We just don't know right now. But to show you guys a potential max hit to the ladle, we're going to theorycraft a little bit. Please don't crucify me if I'm wrong. Now, if you're wearing this entire set and best in slot melee bonuses, you'd have an 88 strength bonus. Let's assume that melee strength bonus is a 1-for-1 conversion to range strength bonus and that your range, level, and prayers affect your max hit. You would max a 35 on accurate or a 34 on rapid. Pair this with the 50 additional damage and you can max an 85 or 84. Oh, and by the way, I'm assuming this is a two-handed weapon since they're calling it a lower level alternative to the blowpipe. If it's actually a one-handed weapon, well, then the damage would be even higher. Of course, all of this is just a theory, but if this is true, and even if the melee strength to range conversion isn't a direct 1-for-1, because of the additional 50 damage, the Atlatl only needs a hit of 28 to be the hardest hidden ranged weapon in the game. Well, in PvP. As of right now, the heavy ballista maxes at 77, and Dragostone bolts are capped at 69. Now of course, the Darkbow maxes at 96, if you count the two separate hit spots, but I'm talking about specs that do all their damage in the same tick. As for PVM, I don't see this as a super valuable item when the blowpipe is already so cheap, but maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe it'll be great for Iron Man, and maybe in PVM it really will be a low level alternative to the blowpipe. But that's just about it for the Atlatl and the Eclipse set and all the other armor sets as a whole. I started yapping quite a bit with this one, but the ideas of what this weapon could be is very exciting to me. As for the final reward that may or may not be released with Perilous Moons and Varlamore as a whole, we had the Bladed Moon. The Bladed Moon is an untradeable item requiring 65 defense that's similar to Defender's. A shield that provides minimal defensive capabilities but increases your offensive prowess. It has a 4 strength bonus and a massive 59 slash bonus. You can make it by combining the Blood, Eclipse, and Blue Moon spikes that you can obtain from the 3 demi-bosses within the Perilous Moons. You see, the Bladed Moon is an item that has received a lot of controversy, notably the Bladed Moon being used with the Fane to make the Fane one of the best slash weapons in the game before its nerf, and the Dragon Dagger becoming overpowered. Yes, nerds on Reddit crunched some numbers and gave us an interesting conclusion. The Bladed Moon literally made the Dragon Dagger better than Dragon Claws. And by better, I mean more accurate. The DDS already technically has a higher max hit. You no longer need to be concerned about that, as the Bladed Moon was adjusted to only work with weapons that list slash as their primary type, so weapons such as the Fane and DDS just won't benefit from the Bladed Moon. So, just like the Echo Crystals, it wasn't included in the massive Varlamore Part 1 blog, but it's been reworked, it's been adjusted, but it was never repulled, so we'll see on March 20th if the Bladed Moon will be joining our arsenal. Alright guys, this is almost everything that you can expect from Varlamore Part 1, with my little twists and perspectives. If you didn't agree or found my takes to be awful and disingenuous, let me know down below. Now this video took me over 40 hours to make, so I would appreciate it if you'd support my end of year goal of 1,000 subscribers. And if you guys didn't know, I have a Hardcore Iron Man series where I'm working towards maxing my account. You should check that out. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.